Yeah,
Um,
same here. I could get
we are coming close to the hour.
we are.
We should open
I
this up.
found it quite interesting doing the checkerboard. I
Mm.
think I used sine and cosine in order to do it, and then clamped something or other to get certain values. But the thing is, it's not internalized, and trying to go through the process of doing it again. Could I do it again without looking up the documentation again? No, it's not.
I remember
It's not.
documentation
It's
for
not up
adding
here
an
yet.
tutorial for adding a shader outline to a 3D object.
Yes, we were playing that. When were we playing
Did
with that?
that 4, 5, 6 times. Still can't figure it out. I have no idea what I did or why.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one of those things. Like I haven't managed to develop any kind of metacognition with it, so I haven't
Mm.
managed to internalize it. I haven't. Sorry, educated jargon. I haven't managed to do any kind of critical analysis with what does this relate to what I understand? How can I use this in other ways? What else can I do with it? How does
Yeah.
this impact what I already know? I'm just following a recipe, and at the end of it, I'm like, oh, that was weird.
Ryan's got it spot on. It's like trying to do mathematics in Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Well concussed.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Underwater with a mirror.
Like, wait, which one's sine? Why? I remember someone trying to explain to me what sine actually was, because I've always had this problem with mathematics. If I can't conceptualize what it is I'm doing, it doesn't work. When I was in middle and high school, pretty good at algebra, but I couldn't do trigonometry because I simply could not understand what sine, cosine, and tangent, the buttons I had to press on my calculator, were doing. So someone tried to explain it to me, and they involved a wheel, a pen,
I know the thing you're
and
talking about. Yeah.
I'm like, that's so much worse. Wheels? What the wheel? Why? What am I doing? What's the diff? Which one's which? So yeah, all I know about sine is it's a wibbly wobbly wave, and the cosine is the other one. What it does, why I'm using it, no clue. And that really gets in the way, which is why when I'm trying to explain concepts in Godot, I go into quite a lot of depth as to why it's working and what it's trying to do, because that's how my brain
Mm.
tends to remember
Yeah.
stuff.
One of the things that I've found incredibly useful is Blender's node system. So being able to create textures procedurally using nodes, so you can actually play around with it, and it's a great way of almost formalizing what this is actually doing, because you can change a slider and see it, and you can change it back again and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. One of the things that I remember vividly from a couple of years back is finally understanding why I would use a modulo when I wanted something
Yes.
to repeat over and over again. That's how you do the checkerboard thing. You get something working and then you just
No, no, no.
repeat it.
First time I understood modulo, or the first time I understood or internalized
Mm,
uh, bitwise operators, which I actually did for this project, like when we're generating the walls. The ability to understand it and then go, oh, I can apply that to the code I've already written
yeah,
and change 140 lines of code to 70 lines of code and have the exact same functionality. Like
it's a huge
that's the thing
difference.
I'm missing with shader code. I don't have enough of a math background and I don't have enough of a programmer background that the two together. I just feel like someone is swearing at me and asking for directions in a language I've never heard before, and getting quite
In
angry that I'm
Egyptian
not answering
hieroglyphs.
them. In I don't know, Mandarin Chinese via Ugandan. I don't know what language is spoken in Uganda. Um,
Using Google Translate as well. Why not throw that in there as well?
via ChatGPT. Like I don't even know if this is what it's supposed to be.
I'm
Had an interesting.
hallucinating.
There was a thing on the Godot forums today. Someone was asking, "Is this right?" And they'd got into ChatGPT and they'd said, "Write me a 2D platformer in GD script for Godot." And it said,
Yeah.
"Okay," and here's some code. And the question was, "Is this right?" And a bunch of people were pointing out, if you have to ask if this is right, you shouldn't be releasing this. Like if you don't understand the code, you shouldn't be writing it.
And I want to jump in there and say that I think that's a very fair thing to say. It's not
Agreed.
being elitist, it's not being gatekeeping, but genuinely, I've played around with ChatGPT for months now, and I'm really enjoying playing with it, using it as a tool to develop ideas and double check
Right.
things. I even feature it in the Python course. It's like one of the things you can do with your code is dump it in there and see if it thinks it works. And oh, why doesn't this work? And oh, you've got an indentation wrong, or these two things are not whatever. It will bug test for you really, really well. I've also tried creating. There's an upcoming video about this, but I've tried creating a whole script in Blender, and it works. That's brilliant that you can create a whole add-on that works just by typing in what you desire. But I've also tried just cheating. I will call it cheating at this point. Just going make me this awesome thing that does X, and I was getting there, and I kept feeding it back the code that I'd got because I made some changes to it. And that's the important thing, I've been making changes to it. I understand what's going on, therefore I'm able to adjust it and change it around. And so I've made all these changes. I dump the code back in and I say, can I also do this? And how would you structure would you change any of the structure of the code, blah, blah, blah. And it gave me a new whole section of code that I could copy and paste in. But then I looked at what it had given me, and it had removed some of the important stuff earlier on. So now the functions later on no longer had access to anything that had been created.
Yep.
And so when you get to a more complex structure that involves multiple parts, you still need to stitch them together. We're not at the point at the moment where you can just say, make me X, and off we go. Yes.
Well, it's not designed to be informative. I mean, I'm looking at Roderick's command.
Yes.
The thing.
So
this is the thing.
ChatGPT is a great translator.
It's a text transformation engine, and
Yes.
it's very good at what it does. But what it doesn't have is any kind of theory of mind. It doesn't have a concept of lying. It doesn't understand the words.
Yes, in fact, it's a large language model. In fact, large language models are incredible because they can actually do audio, because audio is a type of language. They can do this, that, and the other. And one of the things with ChatGPT that's kind of memed upon at the moment is you need to be a good prompt engineer. Because if I need something out of ChatGPT, I will actually say, I'm acting as X. I would like you to act as Y. I want you to give me an answer. Oh, no, I want you to act as two people. I want you to give, be an evaluator and an analyzer or something along those words. Give it two roles and say, you're going to give me code, or whatever you're trying to output. Then the other part of you, your split personality, is going to evaluate that. Give yourself a response and then give me a final result. If you ask something like that often, it will stop making stupid mistakes and be a much better code base. But the fact that you have to type that every single time, it doesn't keep that context.
Great videos on
yes,
on prompt injection attacks.
Yes.
But anyway, that's a topic for another time, and we are out of.
Let's know if you want us to go a deep dive on ChatGPT.
I mean, I'm not an expert in the subject. I do find it very interesting, and I find the way people have reacted to it even more interesting.
Yes.
Because people are trying to get it to do all kinds of things it's really not meant to be doing. But we are now officially out of time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, do you want to sign off?
Sure. Everybody, thank you for joining us. I've had a lovely time. I hope you've had a lovely time. I hope you've had a lovely time, Michael.
Thank you. I have.
I'm
glad I looked the right way.
Yep. And because that's not where he is. But for you, I'm not finishing any sentences. But yeah, thank you for joining us. I had a lovely time. Thank you for the jelly ice cream, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. See you then. Bye.
Bye. Press it.
Okay.
Press it.
I'm getting there. Bye.
Bye. Press it.
I press it.